UFC 319 just ended. I'm gonna go through the whole card, give you my thoughts on each fight, and we gotta talk about Hamza Chimaev, man. And I have a lot to say about that main event. Now, I want to start off before we get into Joseph Morales here. Uh, they did a phenomenal job on the pre-show. I usually don't really pay much attention to the pre-shows, but they had Cutman Tate being interviewed while he was wrapping Barbosa's hands, and I thought that was cool. I want to see more of that. But anyways, with this fight, I need to click on the tab. There we go. Adidas, he started this fight well. He landed clean, established a good 1-2 down the middle, and Morales did a good job at avoiding the early takedown, and he did really well in the clinch, which to me was where this fight kind of shifted. Now, Morales was able to get Adidas down in the middle of the cage, went to full mount, was able to get a body triangle breakaway, and he went for a real naked choke, which if that round, if that one would have had 10 more seconds, I think he would have gotten it. That round, round two, Morales came out really sharp on the feet. Some really good body shots that I liked. Hurt Adidas. He ended up getting Adidas down, getting the triangle choke, and yeah, it was oh, introduced. It was a really good performance by Morales. I really liked what he did to adjust later on in that first round. But yeah, um, really good fight. We then move on to Karine Silva versus uh, Diana Barbosa. Now, I'm pretty sure I forgot honestly who I picked. Um, I think I picked Silva, but this is a solo fight to start. Barbosa was switching not stances, and she kept the distance. Barbosa finally got Silva down. Later into the first round, then we got an armbar, and then moving into the second. I'm pretty sure this is in the second. Silva caught a kick and did a little with it. And what I think the difference in this fight was for Karine Silva was she was more confident at range and she was able to get something in on the break during any grappling exchange. Barbosa, she did a good job, I believe, in the second. Um, we're gonna get into this. She got her against the cage, was able to control Karine Silva a bit. Landed some decent strikes. But Silva, whether it was on the feet or on the ground, she was able to find ways to shift the momentum. She was able to find reversals on the ground. Even I believe she threatened a couple submissions. One was a guillotine, and the other was the armbar. So there's only one guillotine, but this is a really good win for Karine Silva. She looked really good in this fight. Came in as the favorite, and yeah. We move on to Edson Barbosa versus Ricardo Close. this went basically how I expected it to. Now, let me see. Close had a really good opening. He was able to find the jab and throw a bunch of 1-2 combinations, mix in the body kick. And Barbosa, at least in the first round, was getting into the fight, finding the range. He did crack close a few times in that first round. Then Barbosa found a lot of success with, there goes my fan, I guess, with the knees and the clinch. We get a small scrap at the end, where Barbosa did really good. But what really set close. Okay, like, I have no idea. Why is it so hot in my room? Um, Whatever. Fan isn't working. Perfect. Um, Back to this fight. To cut close, it was basically what I expected. Barbosa is nowhere near the level of fighter he was. He was able to defend the takedowns really well. But he had a nice half spin kick, I believe, in round two. Other than that, though, close. What he did very well was he was able to find the big hooks, but also, too, you can see by the numbers, the sheer volume just landing those many strikes. I love Barbosa. I love what he did for the company. 2 years ago, this guy was an absolute menace, a top five contender in the lightweight division. I do think his move back in the lightweight division is good, but it's just not the same Barbosa. But we then move on to Chase Cooper versus Alexander Hernandez. Now I should have went with my gut. I really should have went with my gut. Now, I'm pretty sure I picked Hernandez by decision. And I was looking at this fight, and I know the hype behind Chase Cooper. And I know what happened with the Dallas Cowboys surrounding fight. But Alexander Hernandez is far more of a threat on the feet. And he's always had decent takedown defense, which showed in this fight. And he has way more power than Chase Cooper. Cooper, he did start the fight well. Had the head kick to open the fight, followed by a spinning back fist. Worked really good. Hernandez was chilly boxing, and he needed to enter the pocket. The moment he did, though, he found a counter right, dropped Cooper, and then, along with three straights, finished Chase Cooper. And Cooper is good. He's young. I kind of think he's in the same situation that Hernandez was against Cowboys. Kind of say, right? I thought the minus 400 thing was absurd. And I really need to start betting on fights. There we go, my fan's back now, I guess. But I just had this feeling. I really had a feeling that Hernandez, if he can find the right shot, was going to put Tito Silva out. Again, I'm pretty sure, yeah, he comes from the Contender Series. I'm not big on a lot of these new prospects. I really am not, like Cooper, Talbot. in a few years, I feel like can turn into decent contenders. But looking at this fight, I immediately thought, this is a level above Quick Guida. At least a Quick Guida that she's super fought. But we'll see if I hope for rebounds. I believe that's three in a row, right? For Hernandez. Yeah, three wins in a row. Um, this is a big fight for Hernandez. Um, to jump off the hoop for topic. I think that this guy is looking at potentially breaking in to the top of lightweight, and then I love these stories, right? Kind of like Dominic Reyes, or like one of these fighters that got fraud checked early and kind of making his way back up in the lightweight division. I love to see it. We'll see what Hooper can do. I just, again, I don't have confidence in many of the guys that they're bringing in right now. Um, Compared to a lot of these European fighters like Taporia or other promotions. We're gonna get to Pico in a second. But we move on to Jessica Andrade versus Lupita Godinez. Andrade actually started well. She was slightly technical, to begin. Godinez did outland her, but Andrade was still a threat. She was still moving forward. I felt like her shots were definitely, packing more of a punch. And moving out of round one, I was like, okay, Andrade, maybe she can hang around her. And then in round two, Godinez got an early takedown, um, got a little bit out of it. We then had an eye poke from Andrade, but after that eye poke, Godinez looked incredible on the feet, was outlanding Andrade, and again, the problem was Andrade was just out here winging haymakers everywhere. Godinez in that second round and third round, she looked really good. She looked really technical. Um, then in the third, Godinez found the grappling, more his way, and although Andrade had her moments, I feel like a lot of the reason Godinez won this fight was Andrade, not blocking the basic shots. I believe I believe it was the right straight. Um, there was one specific shot that Godinez consistently landed. Every time when drawers would come in, she would drop her guard, and I, I'm a bit dyslexic. I don't know exactly what shot it was, but anytime when drawers, went in swinging, she would always get caught by the same shot. But good win for Lupe Godinez and Josh. I would just retire. I believe that's three in a row now. 1-5 in the last six, something like that. But yeah. Then we move into Gerald Mard versus Michaela Olczyk. I've been saying it, man, and I know that everybody on MMA YouTube, whatever you want to call this part of the internet, Michaela Olczyk really is one of the best non-ranked fighters on the roster, and he really showed this. Now, Gerald Mard is nowhere near the Gerald Mard he used to be, but he's still a notable name that hung around in the middleweight division. We know that Hamza beat him. Oh, again, just won the title. But yeah, GM3 instantly established a takedown threat, which made my Alexei second guess most of his engagements. He was avoiding the ground at all costs, but he was rocking Marshart. I believe they only gave him one knockdown, but I think right before the knockdown, he rocked Marshart badly. Uh, Basically dropped him twice. Really good hook to the body. Second time he goes down, follows it up with hammer fist until Herb stopped it. And yeah, man, like joining the fight nerds now, and the team that they have over there with Prates, Silva, Calparolo, which I'm gonna be interested to see how that works in this division, dude. This guy is unbelievable, man. He is one of my favorite fighters to watch. Really, I know he had that 3 fight skid there, but he's really good. He is really good. But yeah, hats off to Mikhail Zajac. I expect Marshall to retire, if not, maybe have one more fight. I know that MMA Guerrero was big on him, and he did have a decent run, but again, as we always say, Father Time was undefeated. Then we move on to Rasanger to Surkayev. You guys know that they basically lost every fight on the card. But this is one that they ended up making on short notice, and it really did deliver, man. Big shots from both fighters to open the fight. Very slow pace, but you definitely felt like each shot, had meaning. No one then lands a nice spinning elbow off of a clinch break, which I really like. But Sukayev got no one down, and he controlled them very well. Again, this is Hamza Chimaev's training partner. Uh, I think that Hamza Chimaev gave him, $180,000 watch for his debut. Like, $180,000 watch. Like, that amount of money right there would, like, I mean, basically get me towards my end goal with, like, the YouTube thing. But, like, whatever. Hamza has the money for it. Oh no, though, I was really impressed by Sister Kai, if I'm gonna have to start remembering how to say his name. But, yeah, really dominant win. Really good finish. Gets, what did he get? Rear naked choke, yeah. Oh, it says right there. Um, but, yeah. More indigestion. Whoa. But we move in to the main card. Tim Elliott versus Kai Oscar Cora. Now, oh, you guys know, and the irony is that I don't remember if he was on road to the UFC or not. You guys know how much doubt I have on a lot of these fighters coming from this region. I did pick Kyle Ashikar to win by decision, but I specifically said that this needs to be a breakout performance. This needs to show that he belongs at the UFC level, which he did at the start of this fight. Oscar rocked Elliot a bit right at the beginning, very fast, really good knee to the body that I like from Oscar. Followed up the big roundhouse kick that lands, and then Elliot pushes into a takedown. Ah, I did he get that takedown? Um, I think he got that takedown. Which then led into a big overhand for Elliot, and then I to me it was like around like 2:20 into the first round. I felt that Elliot really shifted the pace, and man, the distance control was a major issue for Kyle Ashikara. Elliot then landed a takedown in the second round, ends up in a mounted guillotine, and yeah, I I had a feeling, and obviously I watched Google's predictions. I believe the night before I made mine, and I was curious if anybody else had this thought of, you know, Tim Elliott is very crafty. Tim Elliott has been around for a long, long time. And this doesn't take away the fact that any of the talent that Oscar has, but it just goes to show you, man, the UFC is a whole other level. This guy had no business being in a title fight. Pantoja submitted him in, wasn't it the second round? I'm pretty sure it was. But yeah. He really needed a breakout performance here. And I have no doubt that he will hang around this division. I don't see him being cut anytime soon. But in the back of your mind, you gotta think, like, can he really hang around at the UFC level? Which he showed in this fight. But at the end of the day, the one thing that matters is whether there's a W next to your name or whether it's a red L. But yeah, really good win for Tim Elliott. I really should have made a parlay, dude. I really should have made a parlay on this fight and just on this card, I mean, and went with my gut. But we then move in to my most anticipated fight on the card, and now, alright, this is something that I need to get off of my chest. We're gonna attack MVP for being a point fighter, but we're gonna cheer on Hamza Chimaev for anti-fighting. I don't get it, but this was a low output fight, but what I found this fight, MVP immediately taunted Jared Cannonier within 30 seconds. Cannonier shot against the fence. Then we did have a nice toss by MVP where Jared Cannonier got thrown into the middle of the cage after trying to pin MVP against the fence. There was a nice three-piece that MVP landed that dropped Cannonier, but Cannonier kept going for these takedowns. He ended up getting two of them. I believe the one in the first and one in the second. But it was like anytime we got a little bit of action, we got a little bit of an exchange, and they would clinch up, and it was always because of Cannoneer. You see the 8 minutes of control time, and again, I saw a lot of people on Twitter, X, whatever the fuck we're supposed to call it anymore. A lot of people going after MVP for this fight. Now, it was definitely low output. Was it kind of like what it was like the in-game effect, but the fact that MVP still fights at this level at his age is incredible. I really wish we picked up MVP years ago. I think that MVP would have had a really good career around the time like Usman was champ. Like if he would have came in around the time like Ben came in, I think that MVP would have actually had a really good run in welterweight or middleweight. Speaking of which, he said he is He said in his post-fight speech he is still interested in 170. Now, honestly, the idea that I had, and then I saw the Dovey, I immediately made a post about it. Right after the thought entered my mind, I refreshed X, and he's like, "Oh, they're gonna make this fight now the point for whatever he said." I honestly thought, like, MVP at his age, it makes sense to give him Izzy. It really does. Like, it would probably just be a point fight, but I mean, it would make them both money. I feel like MVP, unless he can, go on a serious run here, I think he's looking at more money fights than an actual run at the title. But yeah, I thought he did really good. I would say like Izzy, RDR, those would kind of be the fights that I'd be looking at. We got Caleb Barolo. Isn't Barolo fighting Imhoff now? I gotta go look at that. I heard that today. But yeah, I forget. All in all, wasn't the best fight to watch at all. But I really wish we got MVP sooner. That's the one thing I take away from this fight. But yeah, I felt that MVP should have won that fight against Cannoneer when he got MVP down, did nothing with it. Um, well, yeah, we then move on to Carlos Prates versus Jeff Nealman. This camp is fucking ridiculous, dude. They are fucking ridiculous. Now, we obviously know this fight was supposed to happen on UFC, wasn't it 314? It was Volk versus Diego Lopez. That's how I remember. And this is a fight that I really wanted, and I was actually really bummed out when I heard it was off. And then, like a few hours before the fight, I saw that there's a rumor that it got canceled tonight. But this was a fun fight, man. Like Neil threw a ton of leg kicks to. Damn. Come on, man. Neil threw a ton of leg kicks to start the fight. He actually caught a kick from Prates and landed a few big hooks. And after that, Protest then answered back with his own leg kicks. That did add up, and you could see that Jeff Neal was stumbling a bit due to those kicks, and Neal's left eye was swelling. Then, at the very last second of this fight, spinning elbow lands for Jeff Neal, and it left a horrible gash, dude. All like it's they had to rush him to the hospital, and man, it was brutal. But he shouted out his boy that he wants to get into the UFC. I respect that. 50K for him. Dude, that's such a brutal knockout, man. And he will be fighting in Rio against Leon Edwards. He called for a shot. The UFC sounds like they're gonna make it, and it makes sense. You know, Protez loses to Ian Gary. Ian Gary, we will have to see what is next for him. If I had to guess with Ian Gary, maybe like Buckley. I mean, Buck versus Cuck is massive. Um, I love the fact that that is an actual sentence I can say in these videos. But yeah, this was incredible. Spinning back elbow knockout in the first round. Very rare occurrence. Until we get into the co-main event, where okay, I gotta say this now. I feel like a lot of people are gonna go after Aaron Pico. You know, we're gonna talk about Bellator and all that. Pico was really sharp to start this fight, and I really liked what he was doing in the first round. Got Murphy down early. We then, once he got back up on the feet, get a big knee from Murphy. But a spinning elbow at 3 minutes and 21 seconds. Pico was out cold, 9 in a row, 50K bonus. And this was exactly the performance that a guy like Lerone Murphy needed. Now, do I think he should get a title shot? I mean, he KO'd Pico, he beat Emmett, and that Emmett card was so trash, though. And, like, the entire card was awful. Um, but, absolutely, he's undeniable here. Problem is, though, they're giving the title shot to Yair for no fucking reason whatsoever. You got Moffat at war about there undefeated. We're supposed to fight Aaron Pico, so maybe the UFC is saying that this, you know, as Murphy taking his spotlight or his shot, whatever. But yeah, this was incredible. 2 spinning elbow knockouts back to back. Um, I do think Pico will do well in the UFC though. I feel like he's gonna need a few fights to adjust. He'll do fine. This was just again the right shot at the right time, and then man, Dracus Duplessis versus Hamza Chimaev. You know, honestly, I stopped taking notes at like the end of the second, but we had a chest bump by Chimaev as DDP was being announced. They touched gloves. Within 10 seconds, Chimaev gets Drakus down, gets him in the crucifix, and DDP did phenomenal defending himself on the ground. But Hamza controlled them the entire round. And then we get into the second round. And then we get a high kick from DDP. And then we're back on the ground and we stay on the ground for the rest of the round. And then round 3, we get, a couple exchanges on the feet. Can this go back to the Ultimate Fighting Championship, dude? I get it. This is MMA. This includes boxing, kickboxing, Muay Thai, and all sorts of grappling, right? And okay, let me say this: the undeniable fact about this fight, Hamza won. Hamza won by a mile, and it's just so annoying though that this is the era. Like this is fights now, actively not fighting, and 510 strikes. That's it. It seems like a lot, right? But those are just fucking pitter patter shots. And then when DDP goes like, well, to land something on the feet, he cracked Shumayev a couple times. It's so fucking annoying, man. It's so fucking annoying. And you have so many of these retarded fans that are, any Muslim fighter they have to go after because I'm a top G. I'm a member of Hofstra University, man. And my overlord is Muslim, so I must cheer for any Muslim fighter. Am I salty because my fighter lost? 100%. But I'm also so fucking tired that we have this community now. We have these fighters now. These champions now. Who actively don't fucking fight. Yeah, he's threatening submissions from time to time. But fuck, dude, it's so fucking annoying. Honestly, I wouldn't have a problem with it if it wasn't the level of fucking glazing they take it to. It's any one of these fucking fighters, dude. But I mean, the other part of it you have to talk about is, hey, Hamza Chimaev fighting in the U.S. for the first time in how many years, becoming champion, how promotable this guy is, undefeated, probably won't lose in his entire career. If he can go in there and dominate Dricus Duplessis, man, I mean, who do you look at and say can give him a run for his money? Like Anthony Hernandez. I knew I said Aaron Hernandez. Um, I mean Anthony Hernandez ideally would be a tough matchup in the grappling department. But like I brought up the Usman fight as the reason why, and like my logic was, well, there's similar builds and all this. Fuck, dude. I wouldn't have an issue with it if there's actual work. But you have the referee going, come on. This fight should have been stood up at least 3 more times than it was. I believe they only had one stand up, and that was near the end, round 4-ish, somewhere around there. Well, fuck you. They were so minute phases where nothing was fucking happening. And I think that Hamza would have found success on the feet. I really do. But I mean, hey, regardless what I think, regardless what anybody else thinks, this is nothing but a dominant performance. There's no other way around it. Like, the only other fighter to achieve those, kind of numbers is like Colby Covington. Which is the irony of the whole situation. Because Colby Covington did basically the same thing Hamza Chimaev does. Except he was shorter and he had a funnier gimmick. I mean, moving forward though, like I'm not going to deny the fact that we can't even do full profile. Oh yeah, like I can't deny though that this guy 100% is a mega star. This guy is absolutely promotable, and people love him. The Glazers love this dude. And I can see this guy really being a champion who can draw, 300K pick views minimum. I can see him draw 500K. We'll have to see what the numbers for this fight is. And then we'll have to see if we get the streaming numbers. When this Paramount deal goes in. But the new era of middleweight, Hamza Chimaev, after a short stint, can I open OBS, please? After a short stint with Sean Strickland, the Asia Adesanya era, we're now in the Hamza Chimaev era. Please be fucking active, dude. You have your visa or whatever it may be. I don't want to see him fight once a fucking year, dude. I'm tired of it, and that's my biggest criticism with a lot of these guys is they come in, they become top contenders, they win the belt, and you only fucking see the belt once a year. It should be mandatory that you defend your belt minimum twice a year, ideally 3 times a year, and I would honestly like the other thing I would do, and again, Hamza did this very early on in his career, right in the fighter's contract. Like, okay, for every defense you get in a year, you get an additional 100K, something like that, right? Or maybe you get extra pay-per-view points, for each defense. Maybe they do that. I don't know, but that's what I thought about UFC 319. I'm salty. I'll make a video on Hamza tomorrow, but yeah, man, that was utter domination. It's so boring. It's so boring. I'm gonna go cry.